Greetings, YouTube. Today's news piece is coming out of Sarasota County in Florida, and there seems to be a whole lot of misconceptions involved in this piece, mostly on the part of a condo association who apparently has banned prospective residents from purchasing a place together if they are not husband and wife, a requirement that some are calling archaic and homophobic, which I would happen to agree with. According to the Miami New Times, Julia Nowak was an openly gay realtor, rents a unit to her elderly parents, and discovered the new restriction after it was adopted in July. I could not believe what was reading. It's basically saying you have to be either a single person or a husband and wife to purchase a unit there. A rule also forbids elderly couples whose Social Security benefits would change if they married from entering a unit. And according to this, that there is no such... This is not violating any anti-discrimination law within Sarasota County. And now there's a woman in here named Mary Greenwood, who apparently is an attorney, but I don't think she's a very good one. They said there's nothing illegal at the federal, state, or local level in the condo association's ordinance. Unless the county or state passes a human rights law that forbids discrimination, it will remain legal. That right there was the first thing that did not pass the sniff test. Now the next thing, it says that Greenwood, however, agreed that the requirements was discriminatory. So I'm not really sure where this Mary Greenwood got her training. But again, just the first sniff of this, and I'm like, that doesn't smell right. Not surprisingly, the Casa de Amici Condo Association refused to comment on the requirements. Now, as someone correctly quotes in the comment section, which was amazingly civil, I was stunned, amazingly civil here, said that Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Fair Housing Act, as amended, prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings and in other housing-related transactions based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, including children under the age of 18 living with parents or legal custodians, pregnant women, and people secured in custody of children under the age of 18, and disability. So, quoting this, ban prospective residents from purchasing a place together if they are not husband and wife, violates sex and familial status. And the rule also forbids elderly couples whose Social Security benefits would change if married from renting a unit, which would be also violate age and familial status. And then the person quotes, Mary either represents the condo association or needs to review the basic principle of discrimination law before making future pronouncements of legality. Attorneys should be barred from making public statements which they know to be untrue. And there you go. So I'm sure that this is condo association is going to be slapped down like the fist of an angry god. However, what this says to me is someone said that the atmosphere in Sarasota County and in Florida in general, and potentially being perceived by the condo association in America at large, is an atmosphere comfortable enough where they could make such a proclamation and think they could get away with it. That's the bigger issue. I think they're completely legally in the wrong, and they're going to get slapped, and they're going to get sued, rightfully so. But they thought they could get away with this. They thought they could just proclaim something that is illegal to be legal. And as long as they said it in a way that kind of, little legalese here, put a little English spin on it there, and, who's going to question it? People who are ignorant of the law on any level are not going to question it. And I, who was not able to quote that Title 8 passage, still thought it didn't sound right even off the top of my head before I did any research. So most people aren't going to do that. Most people aren't going to question it. Many people are not going to know about that Fair Housing Act, even though I've seen posters for Fair Housing Acts everywhere in the course of my life. In fact, there are at least 2 in the mall that I have near me. So it should be well known by now, but the reality is isn't. I'm sure if you ask most people what the boiling point of water is, they may not know. So, it's not necessarily common knowledge, is often not all that common. But this does also, to me, make another point, is why would you want to live in a place that has a organization like a condo association or some kind of housing authority over you, which is made up of fellow citizens and is not regulated by a government agency? Now, I believe that some states actually have some kind of overarching policies involved, but lots of them don't. So these housing authorities or condo associations really have a lot of power, and they can ruin people's lives, and there's often nothing you can do about it. So why would you want to live in a situation like that? I don't fathom why you'd want to. I know of one case where someone moved into a situation like that, was appalled at the level of discourse on that situation with the housing association. It just, little dictatorial tin martinettes. So they did everything they could to get themselves elected to the board, did everything they could do to get a couple of their friends elected to the board successfully, and then held a referendum saying they were going to disband the association. They had a majority rule. It was disbanded. Problem solved. And to me, that is probably the best method to go. Because so long as these kind of small organizations exist, you're going to have busybodies wanting to be on them and wanting to tell people things like, you can't have more than 2 cars in your garage, or the color of your house is inappropriate, or your hedges are 4 inches too tall. Those kind of things. And we need to make sure that our lives do not have such petty interruptions when they're not going to have a major effect on anybody. For example, when I was looking for this place right here, I told my buyer, I went to a buyer, by the way, a person that only buys houses, that does not sell, there's no conflict of interest that way. I recommend going to a strict buyer when you're in the purchasing process of a home. I told her flat out, I don't want anything with an association attached to it. No housing associations, period. And she made sure that there weren't any. And I live in a place that has none. I am the king of my little castle. My wife is the queen. And we get to do what we darn well please within certain city and state and federal regulations, which I'm comfortable with for the most part. I haven't found one yet that got in my way of living. So I want people to tell me, were you aware that this whole little kerfuffle here in Florida smelled wrong? Did it tink something off in your radar? Like, oh, that doesn't seem right. Or were you unaware that this kind of a proclamation by some hack lawyer in Florida was incorrect? How common is that kind of thing? And as a quick aside, do you know what the boiling point of water is?